Hi, friends. This is John Scopoletti, the Director of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment at South Shore Tech, and I'm happy to present this narrated slideshow about Mcas 2023 performance for our students. The first area I'd like to talk about is achievement, which is how our students did, and specifically the percentage of students that earned either exceeding expectations or meeting expectations. We'll start first with ELA. As this chart shows, we as a district, as a school, did better than the state average. Specifically, we had 66% of our students meeting or exceeding expectations compared to the state's 58% who earned exceeding or meeting expectations. In math, our students also beat out the state for this. 52% of our students met or exceeded expectations. 50% of the state students met or exceeded expectations. And then in science, similarly, 3 for 3, our school, South Shore Tech, our students did better than the state average. 48% of our students met or exceeded expectations. 47% of the state students met or exceeded expectations. The next area I'd like to talk about is growth, right, which is how our students performed over time. And as we can see here in this chart for ELA, that 48% of our students ended up with growth that is defined by the state as high or very high. So that's nearly 50% of our students demonstrating high or very high growth. In math, that number is exactly the same for students who demonstrated high or very high growth. That's a great testament to our teachers. It's also important to keep in mind, though, that growth is not tracked for science. This is because grade 8 is just a general science MCAS, where grade 9 gets more specific in biology or physics. So there's no apples to apples comparison that is available. Now, one of the questions that sometimes comes up is, well, how did we do this year prior to previous years? And I'm happy here to start with ELA that as you can see here, we have a pattern of slow and steady growth in terms of the number of students, the percentage of students that are exceeding or meeting expectations. So that's great to see. In terms of math, what we're seeing is that there is growth from 2021 up to 2023. There was definitely a peak, a really high point that the math department had in 2022, but they're still seeing overall some growth from where we were at in 2021. Now, in terms of science, we're going to start specifically with biology. There was a slight drop in the percentage of students who were earning, exceeding, or meeting expectations. It's also important to keep in mind with the science exams, though, that there's only been 2 years of testing in the 2.0 version of MCAS, the computer-based version. So it's important to keep that in mind that we only have 2 years of data available for that. As far as physics, we're seeing some solid growth there. Again, 2 years, but some very solid growth there, going from 43% of students earning, meeting, or exceeding expectations up to 51% in just 1 year. Another question that sometimes comes into play is how did South Shore do compared to other schools? I'll start first with how South Shore did compared to other regional technical high schools. And we'll start first with ELA. The short version is that we came in seventh out of the 28 technical or agricultural schools in Massachusetts in terms of ELA performance, again, for students who are meeting or exceeding expectations. In terms of math, compared to other technical vocational high schools, we came in 10th out of those 28 schools. And then in terms of science, we came in 12th out of 28 for those regional, technical, and agricultural schools. So again, compared to other tech schools, we are very clearly in the top half in terms of performance for ELA, science, and math. Now, another question is how we do compared to our sending towns. And so just want to provide that information here. So Shore came in 6 out of our now 9 sending districts, as you can see there. Similarly, in math, we came in 6th out of the 9 of those schools. And then in science, we came in eighth out of nine for that there. All right. And again, it's not a perfect comparison in terms of sending school that often has more robust resources that can be geared specifically towards science. I'm thinking, right, in terms of labs, especially. But again, this question I know often comes up, so we wanted to share that information with you. Another important element, though, as we talk about MCAS, is not just the scores and not just comparisons, but looking at our students and specifically looking at our achievement gaps. What are the areas where students are not performing as well as some of their peers? And this chart breaks everything down. This is provided by the state. The students who could use more attention, for sure, are our students with disabilities, our students who come from low income families, our Title I students, and our male students. All right, and again, this chart just simply breaks down and provides, for example, how low-income students 57% met or exceeded expectations, while 70% of non-low-income students met or exceeded expectations. So this is an important element for us as we decide on how to move forward. And I'll come back to that in just a moment. It's important, though, among all this data to find some things to celebrate. I'd like to first start by recognizing the English department, all of the work that they do. What you can see here is a chart that breaks down how the school did compared to the state, especially in terms of these domains and clusters. This is due to all of the great curriculum work that the English department has done and continues to do, whether that's over the summer, during their PLCs. As you can see, there's only one element that they tested under the state average, and that was just by 1 percentage point. So again, lots of credit to the English teachers and the great work that they do to make sure that students are prepared for MCAS. Similarly, biology also due to a lot of their curriculum work as well. Just one area where they performed under the state average, and that one area was again just by 1 percentage point. I also want to recognize in terms of physics, I mentioned this earlier, but just that tremendous amount of growth from 43% to 51% of students meeting or exceeding expectations in just 1 year. That's a great credit to the department and the work that they do for that. Last and certainly not least, a lot of credit to the math department. What you can see here is that, as I mentioned, 48% of students overall at South Shore Tech showed high or very high growth. But if we break that down and we look at just our students with disabilities, 47% of them, an almost equal percentage, showed growth, right? So, in other words, the math department is doing a really great job of preparing all of our students. And especially here, we can see our students with disabilities. The growth that they're demonstrating is comparable to the growth that our students without disabilities are showing. Just to wrap it up, folks, I'd like to share some next steps. And at the administration level, we will share this data with departments. We have already talked about identifying those achievement gaps, and we've already been in the process of crafting our SMART goals to help address these gaps. At the department level, it's a matter of reviewing the data, adjusting their curriculum and instruction, and implementing those adjustments. I had the privilege of sitting in on an English department meeting a little while ago, and again, just the energy, the interests, the attention to detail that they bring in. It's just an amazing, awesome thing to see. It's no surprise, again, for those of us that have been here and know the people involved, all of our teachers are really doing a great job and are looking forward to making those adjustments to make sure that we continue to support students. Thank you for the time and have a great day.